Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 3 of our 8-part Disneyland series. Welcome to the magic of Mayhem. My name is Austin. I hope you're ready to dive into probably one of my favorite topics. I'm sure one of your favorite topics as well. Rides. Right? One of the main things that makes Disneyland amazing is their rides. We're going to dive into that. DCA side, Disneyland side, and just dive into them. We're going to go through each area of the park and designate one ride that's our favorite in that area. I hope you're ready. I may have ones that are a little bit controversial, I would say. Maybe. You know me. I like to always start out with a little bit of controversy on a decision that I make when it comes down to these podcasts. But we will go in kind of like, I don't know if we're doing clockwise, counterclockwise. I kind of just picked them and I'm going for it. Do we start with Disneyland this week or do we start with DCA? We always start DCA because I think leading up to Disneyland is always way more fun. So, with that being said, I think we've got to go into DCA. I'm sorry. We've got to save the best for last. The best for last is always going to be Disneyland, right? Okay, so let me reverse my ride out here. Maybe we'll even talk about future attractions too. Things that possibly could happen. We'll see. We'll dig into this right here. Disney California Adventure Park, DCA as we all love it, right? There's fantastic rides on the DCA side. There's no doubt about it. I think there's some of the like off the wall ones that they do, as well as thrill rides. I think they might have the Disneyland side beat as far as a thrill ride. Thrill ride, right? We've got great rides on the Disneyland side, but nothing that literally takes your breath away. And I think DCA crushes it on that side. But man, theming, this is going to be a tough one. All right, we're going to start in one area first. Let's start the Grizzly Peak area, right? We could say that the Rapids ride is the best ride, but it's really not. I've seen that ride abandoned at times. You walk by and there is not a person on it and it is running. So you can't say that that's the best ride in that area. So we'd have to say the best ride in that area is got to be Soarin', right? Whether it's Soarin' over the world, Soarin' across the world, or Soarin' over California. Fantastic ride. Man, sitting there, your feet just dangling, you getting lifted up into the screen. Now, it does suck sometimes when you're on the far corner sides and you're like, you could see the bubble and it kind of takes you out of that immersion, but it's still a fantastic ride. The smells when you go over like an orange farm, you know. I shouldn't screw that up because I grew up as a farmer. My family was farmers. But orange trees, like flying over that, smelling that, the golf scene. I'm gonna be combining both of them. When you go to fly through the Eiffel Tower, that ride messes with your senses and the smells, and it's a great ride. So I'd have to say in the Grizzly Peak area, in the Grizzly River Rapids area, I would say Soarin' takes the cake. It is a truly magical one. And of course, as you're flying at the end and you cross across, you know, the castle and the fireworks and it just blows up in your face. A great ride. Great ride. By the way, it is a Saturday here right now. I'm filming this on Saturday. So cheers. Cheers to you. Enjoy your Saturdays. Also, since it is the beginning of October, yeah, already wearing Halloween stuff. Star Wars, for those that are listening. I have a Star Wars shirt on with stormtroopers dressed up as a mummy and a ghost, and they have pumpkins. So yeah, that we're starting off, I would say, starting off the October season strong. Side note, we've already seen Halloween Town. We watched uh, uh, A Nightmare Before Christmas. We've already delved right into Halloween movies. Although I would say I'm getting off topic here, but I would venture to say that A Nightmare Before Christmas is a transition movie in between Halloween and Christmas. But yeah, you could definitely do both. But yes, that's my take. Okay, back Soren, great ride, awesome. I'm gonna go through each area that is based off the map of DCA or the map of Disneyland and how they label it as that area. So the next area we're gonna cover, Paradise Gardens Park, is what it's labeled as in on the map. And this is the easiest one. I'm pretty sure it's the only thing in that area. Ariel's undersea adventure. Talk about one of the best rides to get on, super quick time. It's got a system basically like Haunted Mansion. It's very quick. I got to hold the time card one time, and it was saying that it was like 5 minutes outside, and I was the bearer of bad news, and it probably took about 15 minutes. But still, fast queue, right? And that ride, the way that they have it set up, how you kind of go backwards and the water goes over the shell and you go underwater and you see Ariel's world. That is a fantastic themed ride up until the end when the fireworks are going and Ariel is there and her dad, King Triton's just waving at you guys. Like at the end of the ride is great. Ursula's scene when the globe is like spinning and changing, great. And they like do Ursula like to size, so it makes it really crazy that you're like, whoa, like that's Ursula, like she's big, she's gonna kill you, like she's just scary, like in your face. So a great ride. I think everyone's favorite area is the music part, right? When you go through and see all the fish swimming around and singing, and then my favorite is the saxophone fish, and it always plays really loud, that saxophone part, whenever you get right next to him. So fantastic one. Yeah, not a sleeper ride. That is a great ride, and it's quick, and it's got AC as soon as you hit inside that building. So a hot day, Ariel's I keep saying underwater. The Ariel's undersea adventure, clutch. Okay, now we're just gonna keep going south. Pixar Pier. Now, this one you have kind of a toss-up between Toy Story, Midway Mania, and Incredicoaster. Now, I talked about DCA being all about thrill rides and more, I would say, like adult style. No, I do remember back in the day when it was, wow, I'm blanking out on what was the coaster called before it was Incredicoaster. Wow, it's been so long. Anyways, my pick for this area is Incredicoaster. One, because it's like really the only inverted roller coaster in anything California or anything Disneyland. So you gotta add a loop. And the theming of the drops when you've got the incredible family just doing their individual things on that ride, and then at the very end, Jack and Edna, and Jack being like ginormous in the building. Great theming for so little area to work with on the ride when you're going through the loops and Jack's like popping off in different areas. Greatest ride to ride at night. Love it. Just roller coasters in general at night are gonna be an absolute blast. So that's up there on my list. Incredicoaster, hard to beat. California Screaming. See, there it came back. I knew it would come back eventually. California Screaming, even back in the day when it used to be Mickey's face and he would do around. Yeah, great times, man. I miss the old the old DCA. But Pixar Pier, who doesn't love Pixar? And Incredicoaster by far wins that area. Okay, moving on through Cars Land. I mean, this one should be very easy, I think, for all of us. But Luigi's car dancing area one, fantastic. Mater's Jamboree, another great one. But you cannot beat Radiator Springs Racers. You just can't. The theming, the fact that you're in another real life version of Radiator Springs. is phenomenal. The fact that even though you're walking into the big land version of it, the smaller land version is still somehow nailed and it's perfect in there. You're seeing Sarge and Fillmore as you're riding through, like they crush that. To hear, to go into Ramon's and get a paint job, or you go into Luigi's and get a tire change. Like they nailed that as far as keeping it kind of fresh because you're getting one of two versions of that, and you're going to either win or lose. So you're getting two different versions of that ride. The fact that they make Doc, when he talks to you, be here in the seat like he's talking to you on a radio, and then as he rotates, it's talking to you. That was such a cool little minute detail that I absolutely love every time. It's like you're listening to him talking to you on your radio, and then as soon as you break through the doors and you see him, it switches into being right at you instead of like in the headphones. A little detail on that ride that is just, I think it's not talked about enough, and I think it's a fantastic thing. So yeah, Radiator Springs Racers, when you go cow tipping with Mater, like that, there's just all the scenes that you fall in love with on the movie Cars, just the first one alone. The racing is always going to be a fun part of that movie, and then when you see the waterfall, and they play the music and they match it all to that emotion of watching that movie, that is just a hard ride to beat overall for DCA. I think they crush it. That's why it's always busy. Now, I remember back in the day, I did wait that hour and a half, time to actually go through the queue. My best friend and I showed up. It was probably 10 o'clock in the morning. We had driven from home there, so we left at like 6 a.m., got there like 10:30, and that was the first thing we did. And instead of getting a fast pass for it, we wanted to walk through that queue. Now, the old-timey queue where it's like bottles in one area and old oil cans, the overall theming of that whole area, it's hard to articulate because it's just so good in person. Another fantastic everything. That's why I would say Cars Land and Radiator Springs Racers in general is a hard ride to beat. On a scale of like 1 to 10, it's probably a 9.9. It is hard to beat. Now, after my little rant there just on Cars Land and Radiator Springs Racers, let's go to Avengers Campus. Do I like the Spider-Man ride there? I don't. And here's why. Because it's just not a thrilling ride. Will my son probably love it? Absolutely. He already loves like the little kid Spider-Man show. And he's 9 months old. So imagine when he actually turns into a couple years and he falls in love with Spider-Man, as I hope he does, because I loved Spider-Man. I got to see that Marvel transition when Spider-Man became the guy that just catapulted superheroes into stardom. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will always be one of my favorites because he just launched Marvel superheroes into the sky, right? And I hope one day that he does the same, that he just falls in love with superheroes. Now, back to the ride, though. This is fun, right? This is fun. Yeah. That's a great time. It's an arm workout, too, for us adults. But for kids, I'm sure that's way more epic. Now, overall, is this more of an adult ride? It is, but it's not. I would say this is more catered to the kids because it's fun. It's interactive. You're doing all that kind of stuff, right? Great. I can't wait for, like I said, can't wait for my son to enjoy that. Do I think it's the best ride in that area? Absolutely not. The best ride in that area, hands down, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Okay. Am I upset that it's not Tower of Terror? Absolutely. I am disappointed that it's still not. That's the ride that we lost. Now, do I understand why? Yes, we did need a little shakeup. We don't have as many lands as Walt Disney World, so I get it. They wanted to retheme and make it kind of a certain area. Because other than that, if you think of like the Hollywood land, it was kind of away off the Hollywood land. It wasn't on the main thing. That walkway on the left side getting to, well, a Guardians is just kind of like a walkway. It's a street. I mean, they use it for like Oogie Boogie and stuff like that, but other than that, it's kind of like, what else is there? There's nothing there. What you get a shawarma cart, which is now a thing, which is great. I love that cart, by the way. But it's a walk. It's just a street. There's nothing themed. So I imagine in the expansion of Adventures Campus, that's going to be used, but it's not right now. So they had to retheme it, made it Adventures Campus. Cool. Do I love Guardians? Yes. Oh, as a movie, as like characters, I absolutely love Guardians of the Galaxy. Absolutely one of my favorite Marvel groups. You cannot beat it. Rocket is my absolute favorite. I mean, all of them. Drax is also my favorite. So Drax and I mean, everyone's gonna be like Groot. Yeah, you love Groot, but I love Rocket and I love Drax. Now, let's go back to the ride though. Do I miss Tower of Terror? Absolutely. But no reason to cry over spilt milk. We still have Tower of Terror in Walt Disney World, and I still got to ride it and still love that. And there's this a little bit cooler. But Guardians having the perfect music, riding up and down on a thrill ride, oof. It is so fantastic. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that ride. I love their queue. I love that they use the collector as the main theme for the building. Benicio del Toro is a fantastic actor, and I love that he was the collector. And to go back to that, I love that they just themed it all perfect. They really transformed it into something that made sense. If it didn't make sense, then it would be real heartbreaking. But it makes sense. Even the outside cue of them making announcements about the collector, they really did a great job on that ride of completely retheming. So yeah, love that. So yeah, that's my last take on that one. Guardians, 10 out of 10. One of my favorites. Love it. Love the ride. I love a good drop tower like that. And the history behind that, if you haven't seen it on Disney Plus, you should totally watch how they figured out how to make that a thrill ride instead of just like a free fall. Awesome. Okay. Now let's go to Hollywoodland. And there's two there. One is not a ride, it's a show, which is Mickey's PhilharMagic, and the other one is Monsters Inc. I have never done the PhilharMagic until my wife and I have walked by it plenty of times, just walked right by, and then one day we were just like, what? I think it was while she was pregnant, so we were kind of just walking around more instead of riding rides, and we're like, let's check this out. We fell in love with PhilharMagic, and we were so disappointed that we had never seen it before, that we had never like just taken the time to go like, let's go over here and try this out. And we're glad that we did, because PhilharMagic is our go-to now. We will always go on PhilharMagic. Now, since it's not a ride, excuse me, and a show instead, hold on, I need a drink. Since it's not a ride, I won't count it. So, Monsters Inc., though. Monsters Inc. is one of those fantastic movies. Pixar movie just hits you right in the heart, right? Right in the heart. So, we always ride Monsters Inc. as the ride. So that ride is definitely on our go-to. So I would say that is the best ride for Hollywoodland. Yeah. Because you can't count Guardians, because even though it was originally Hollywoodland, it's not. So that's Avengers. So Monsters Inc. ride to see, yeah, it's one of those old school style, like just turn through. We always like he picked me with his mind vision and shook me like a dog. One of my favorites. Favorite lines from that movie. And I saw a video that said that that's not what he says, but I don't care. Shook me like a dog was one of my favorites. That ride is good. It's sad that it's by itself in the corner and it has no real theming built up to it. I mean, you have like the Coke taco truck or something right there. They did really good for like Halloween time last year when we were there for theming for that area, but it doesn't fit Pixar or it doesn't fit Monsters Inc. So that's the unfortunate part for Monsters Inc. being in that corner. But a great ride, just no love for it as far as theming getting to it. So yeah, that's my thought on at least all the DCA rides. Now, let's start on our favorite. Let's dig deep into Disneyland. Okay, We'll start in the very front. Main Street, USA. So here's a pop quiz question, controversial thought. Is the train considered a ride in Main Street, USA, or is it just considered transportation? I think it's a ride. My wife and I, we agree that it's a ride that we have to do every time that it is open. But is that count as a ride in Main Street, USA? Because it technically stops in 4 different spots. So with that being said, I won't count it. So let's go to a ride that's not necessarily a ride. It's a show. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. That is such a great escape. Maybe it's that I'm getting older now and I love history and I love historical things, but to see not only the history that Disney had designed the first animatronic to go from sitting to standing, way epic, way cool. Am I excited for the Walt Disney version of it? Abso-freaking-lutely. We love to go in there. It's a great spot to cool off. I know people will say that first. That is a great spot to go cool off and be, nice and relaxed. But to be honest, I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing about American history, about Mr. Lincoln himself. It is a great educational ride. It's a show, a great educational show that I will do every time. Just as Walt said that was one of his favorite historical figures, I would say the same. Mr. Lincoln stood for a lot of American values that are true to this day and hold strong over hundreds of years. So yeah, I would say that's a great go-to. Now, we walk in, we make a left, which looks like a right on your side. So we're going to make a left. Going to Adventureland. And by golly, we're going straight for the top. We're going to Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, the ride. Yes. You could put up a battle for Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise being an OG ride, being one of the original rides. Yes, cool. But you can't beat Indiana Jones. First of all, movie-wise, Indiana Jones is one of my favorite series growing up. Luckily, my dad had introduced me to Indiana Jones at a young age, and before it was even a thing for Disney, I was a big Indiana Jones fan. Even the original video games back in the day, all fun. I played them all. So, let's say that Indiana Jones ride. It's top. It's 10. It's 10 out of 10. The queue. I know I talked about it last week. The queue, walking through, hearing the ooh, it always being kind of cool in there. Riding in the Jeep as the ride, seeing the eye and saying, you looked into my eyes. Amazing ride. Going across the bridge as fire explodes, the eye having fire behind it and shooting out like a light out of it. The bug scene, the blow dart scene, the rolling ball scene. By the way, I'm sure I'm repeating since this is a podcast about Disneyland lovers. That room moves and you don't move. The car stays still and the room moves when the ball falls down. For those that didn't know that, I'm sure you have because we're all history buffs, but for those that didn't know that, when you are in the ball scene for Indiana Jones, the room is moving and you are not. If you ever catch a little glimpse of light at the bottom, sometimes you can, it's going to happen during the daytime, if you can, you catch a little bit of glimpse of light and you notice you're not moving, but the walls are moving. Cool little fact. Once you watch it, it ruins it for you to some degree, but still a cool thing that you're like, I'm not moving right now, but it makes me feel like I'm moving and the walls are only thing moving. So cool fun fact for Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford nailed it as Indy. Like you just can't see anyone else being Indiana Jones. It's kind of like Harrison Ford and being Han Solo and them doing the Solo movie. As much as I give credit to whoever that was, I forget who the actor was. As much as I give credit, that's a hard role to beat, but they did a great job. I think Solo was a good movie. But you can't beat Harrison Ford, and that's an unfortunate thing. But, excuse me, Indiana Jones ride? Yeah, go for it. Frontierland, kind of an easy one. I don't think there's really anything over there other than Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So you can't beat Big Thunder. Big Thunder is fun, a great roller coaster. Theming is great, although the second buildup of the explosion, I wish they would redo that because it just is not a drop. You kind of like, ooh, ooh, and kind of listfully go to the right and then move on from your day because then it just doesn't, it's kind of like, ooh, yay, it's slow. We're just kind of moving back to the train station. So only disappointing part is like you build up for nothing. Uh, so that's my only bad take about Big Thunder Mountain. But it is still a great ride. It is a classic. It's been around a long time. The Billy Goat, you say hi to Billy every time you're about the first drop and you veer off to the right. Gotta always say hi to Billy. Shout out to Billy. Billy the Goat. Hope you're doing great up there, Billy. Chewing on that dynamite. But, great ride. We don't even need to stay on that one. New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square. Now, what could that be? So, here we go. Another tough one to decide. You have Haunted Mansion, technically, as New Orleans Square, and Pirates of the Caribbean as New Orleans Square. Now, I want to know, before I say it, think in your head, what would you pick? Do you pick Haunted Mansion, or do you pick Pirates? And my answer, as much as I dislike that I had to do this, it makes sense to me, but I hate to say it, but I did not pick Haunted Mansion. I did pick Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'll explain. Although I'm sad, Haunted Mansion is one of my absolute favorite rides of all time, but so is Pirates. And Pirates, as we're talking about this, I can smell it already. You smell Pirates. Pirates is so ingrained in your head from the yo ho, A Pirate's Life for Me, from the pirate scene when they're shooting, when Barbossa's shooting from the ship to, the town, the man getting dunked and his wife saying, "Don't tell him, Carlos, don't be chicken," like all that just ingrained in your head. Um, it's ingrained in all of us. We love it. And then to sit at Blue Bayou Restaurant and watch the boats go by and wave. That's always a fun pastime I used to do with my nieces and stuff. Is to see how many people wave at you. And yeah, great time. So yes, I would say Pirates beats Haunted Mansion. The thrill drops, you actually drop in. When it's the first scene and you're going through the caves and it's just playing, Dead Man Tell No Tales. I always want a grotto like that. If I ever become a millionaire, that's the goal. I want to build a grotto kind of like Pirates. Because you can't beat it. That'd be the coolest little bar hangout spot. And if I build it, you can come. Just kidding. No. Maybe. Have some drinks in there, chill out in your grotto and play some like Pirates music. Epic. But yeah, Pirates is gonna win. Pirates win that one. Okay, Critter Country. That is getting rethemed. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Critter Country anymore, but we'll stick to it for right now. And as much as I love Winnie the Pooh, and I think that's a great ride, it's gotta go to Tiana. Am I disappointed? Yes, I think we all are that it just got themed to something else when Splash Mountain was so iconic to my childhood and my entire life growing up. And then to switch it to Tiana, it makes sense. I get it. We've got to retheme things at times. Like I said, we did Tower of Terror, one of everyone's favorite rides, and they changed it. But Tiana's, I love the movie. Princess and the Frog is a great movie. My wife and I enjoy it. We love jazz. We love blues music. We love great food. That was all speaking to my soul. Am I happy that Tiana is getting her own ride? Absolutely. I can't wait for it to open in Disneyland. So yes, that's going to be the best ride. I can't speak on it. I've seen videos of it. Haven't ridden the one in Walt Disney World, so I'm not going to speak on whether Tiana's ride is amazing or not because I have no opinion other than videos. So I will wait till they finish it here in Disneyland and then make my opinion. But out of Critter Country, that's the best one. So hands down. Let's move on to the back of the park. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire Outpost. Rise of the Resistance is hands down the best animatronic, full-on themed, multi-dimensional ride in the world, I would say right now. One, you get moved through the queue and you're part of the story. The fact that they built a ride to ingrain you in the story in multi different facets is next level thinking. The fact that when you walk in, you get on the speeder, and it takes you up. You get stolen by the resistance. Nope, sorry. What's the new empire's name? It's not the bear with me. First order. You go up in the speeder. You're stolen by the first order. You walk out and you see the stormtroopers there standing. It is the most daunting, scary kind of, they mess with your emotions ride out there. You walk in and you feel like a prisoner. Unfortunately, it opened right during COVID, so they kind of lost some pizzazz because people had to wear masks and stuff like that, and that's not very Star Wars. So I would say, excuse me, I would say that hurt them. But it's still, aside from that, it amazing. It makes you feel like I am in Star Wars right now, like I am legit part of their world. And that first view with all the stormtroopers is breathtaking. Then you get interrogated, and again, sick scene, and then the blast doors get blown off when they cut through, and then you're on the ride. Then you also go up or down a level at the AT-AT area, and then you get dropped down, and when you crash onto Black Spire Outpost again, like multifaceted ride. From everything, seeing Kylo Ren, which is my favorite character. Top 2, 3 character, top 3 character in Star Wars. Even though people hate on Kylo Ren, I love Kylo Ren. But it just delves with everything. You have to walk, you get talked to and interrogated and feel like you are just part of that world. Number one ride, hands down, across the world, I would say, as far as theming, as far as messing with your senses, as far as making you ingrained into the story. So you can't beat that. Smuggler's Run is amazing that we get to fly the Millennium Falcon, but that's not the best ride in that area. And those are, as I'm getting older, those are harder to do and makes me sick. I'm sure a lot of you adults deal with that. But to fly the Falcon when I actually got to be the pilot, was the coolest thing. And we jumped on hyperspeed. Oh, okay. Aside off that. Okay, here we go. We still got a couple more to go through. All right, Toontown. Because it opened, it made it amazing. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad. Roger Rabbit topped. It's second place. It is. It really is, because one, it's the OG. It's Mickey. Mickey and Minnie, like, they're the original characters. They're the boss. The fact that they finally got a ride and Nothing Can Stop Us Now is such a catchy tune. Now you're singing it because it's stuck in your head and it's stuck in my head. That whole ride is visually a beautiful ride. And the funniest part is Daisy, and you're in her ballet studio, and you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The whole ride itself is a blast, fun. It's cool, man. It's your OG characters. That's all the people that you grew up loving: Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy. I mean, I think Clarabelle's in it. I don't remember where, but I'm sure she's in it. But all these characters that you love, part of Disney, are there. And they finally get their ride. I don't care about cartoon design. People can hate that Mickey, that's not Mickey, or that's the new Mickey. That's fine, whatever. But Mickey's going to evolve just like he has to. Because I'm pretty sure 90s Mickey or anything 90s merch design Mickey looks a little bit different than now. No big deal. It's okay. It's still Mickey and it's still Minnie. And how they start that ride when Goofy busts a hole through the movie theater. Again, I think that's Disney's new winning formula. It gets you involved into the story and fall in love with the rides right away because of it. So another great one. Okay. I'm going to skip Fantasyland. I'll save that one for last because I think I've got a controversial topic on that one. So let's go to Tomorrowland. And Tomorrowland, man, you got Star Tours over there. You got Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And then you have Space Mountain. Technically, Technically, Finding Nemo's in that too, and I'd say Autopia kind of is in Tomorrowland, but Space Mountain, hands down. I mean, come on. How are you going to beat Space Mountain? Another fun roller coaster, a great time in the dark. Even when it becomes the Star Wars version, another fun time. Great versions of that ride, and it's simple because it's in dark, so they have to do a few things, and then wham, we're part of Star Wars now. So I'd say Space Mountain is the easy one for Tomorrowland. Easy. I don't even need to like dig into details for that one because that's a obvious winner. Okay, here we go. Everyone ready? Tomorrow, this is the final one. Fantasyland. Now you have some rides: Casey Jr., Mr. Toad, Peter Pan, Snow White, Pinocchio. You have the carousel too, and you have Dumbo, but I'm not going to count that. You could count that, but it's not going to. That's not affecting me. I think most of people are going to say Peter Pan, and I disagree. My pick for Fantasyland is actually Pinocchio's Daring Adventure. Here's why. Well, I mean, most of us probably grew up watching Pinocchio, but the ride itself is like a trip through the movie, which makes it way fun, I think. I love that you go to Pleasure Island. I love that you watch some of the characters turn into donkeys. I love that you see Jiminy in 90% of that ride, that you get swallowed up in the mouth of the whale. It's a great ride. It's an OG ride too. It's so fantastic. Peter Pan is so short for a 45-minute wait minimum. Like, you're minimum going to wait for Peter Pan 45 minutes. And it is always busy. So that's why I think a sleeper pick and my favorite is going to Pinocchio. Mr. Toad's is a close second, and Snow White is a close third, because those are all three fun, dark kids rides, and I love them. I mean, that whole area at nighttime is so magical after the fireworks. It's such a great area, but Pinocchio, a great time. But although at nighttime, my wife and I seem to get stuck on everything. We got stuck on Mr. Toad's one time. We got stuck on Snow White one time. But I've never been stuck on Pinocchio, so knock on wood. Knock on wood that doesn't happen. But yeah, that Pinocchio, that's mine. That's my final answer, and I'm sticking to it. Well, another podcast done. Another episode complete. That was episode 3 of our 8-part series of Disneyland. Next week, we're going into just simply the magic of Disneyland. That one should be an interesting one, and I hope you are having a great time in listening to this. I've been enjoying having these conversations. If you're watching on YouTube, like, leave a comment, tell me what you like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. These are going to come weekly. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the other podcast hosters, I really appreciate you listening. I've been having a blast being able to talk about all this. So please don't forget to follow. I'm on socials, TMO_Mayhem, the magic of Mayhem, on Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, everything. Just look up the magic of Mayhem. My name is Austin. I hope you had a fantastic time delving with me on my favorite rides. Let's find out what yours are, though. Write in the comments what you think is your favorite rides for each area. We got Main Street USA, Adventureland, Frontierland, New Orleans Square, Critter Country, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Toontown, Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Grizzly Peak area, Paradise Gardens Park, Pixar Pier, Cars Land, Adventures Campus, Hollywoodland. Let me hear your thoughts. What's your favorite for each area? That's a lot to cover, but worth your time. I hope I brought a little magic to your time, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy your magical week. Till I see you next. Later.